Good morning and welcome to the Division of Family Permanency's first ever Young Fathers Convening. The purpose of today's convening is to empower young fathers to see themselves as positive contributors to the lives of their children as well as to the community. The Teen Specialist Unit works closely with expectant and parenting youth in foster care, both male and female, to really look at the multi-generational approach to parenting. As we look at the framework for well-being, we are ensuring that we address the promotive and protective factors of not only the expected and parenting youth, but also the well-being of their children.
Good morning, everybody. I think everybody knows that I'm Gladys Carrion, the Commissioner of ACS, and it's a real pleasure to welcome all of you here today for our Young Fathers Convening. Today is a wonderful opportunity for us to understand the importance of fathers in the lives of their children, to listen and to hear from them, and to connect. We want all of you to leave here today with more knowledge about your rights, your responsibilities as fathers, and the resources you could always turn to. There's also an opportunity for ACS and our partners to recommit ourselves to incorporate fathers in our everyday work. We need to do better. We need to help lift fathers up. We need to create those opportunities to make sure that they are part of the lives of the families and children that we work with every day, and to really create an environment that's inclusive of young fathers. And we still have a long way to go there, I gotta tell you, even though we do as much as we've done, it really needs to be part of our everyday consciousness.
So, first question to the panel is it true that young fathers do not want to engage with their children? And we'll start with Mr. Charles Green.
In my experience working with young fathers over the last 8 years, fathers of all ages actually, but particularly young fathers, they absolutely do want to be engaged in the lives of their fathers. There's certain restrictions or things going on that restricts their visitation and their access to their children. That is a barrier, and that's what a lot of the work that we do entails in erasing some of those barriers and providing the proper support and resources. And once that's done, fathers take the opportunity and are engaged with their kids.
Mr. Edwards, you have anything to add to that?
Sure.
I think it's truly what you described it as. It's a myth. I've had the opportunity to work with a number of young fathers, and I think they sincerely want to be involved in their children's lives. As Charles just mentioned, the barrier. And the main barrier that I've discovered with working with these fathers is that failed relationship between mom and the fathers. One of the things I try to help the dads that I work with is to understand that they have to look beyond that. They have to be whatever mom sees them as, because the bottom line is you need to access your son or your daughter. And helping them to understand that the child doesn't understand that convoluted conflict, so you have to be strong and endure that. A lot of the fathers that come through Forestdale, they come with their own history of not having their fathers involved, and helping them see some of what we pattern through genograms and seeing family patterns is critical, because a lot of them are also wounded from not having their own fathers in their lives, and because that is in their head, until they see some of the patterns of their fathers and how they're establishing some of those same patterns, they're kind of clueless, and that's not in a mean-spirited way, but like the lights come on. So again, for the most part, young fathers definitely want to be involved in the lives of their children.
When honestly, I didn't start engaging my kids until they was taken away from me by ACS because of a series of situations. Basically, how I learned to engage my children is through ACS. They let me know that, you know, I have visitation, that they're here to support me. It was mostly females who was very supportive, and me seeing my daughters every weekend. Like, I dedicated myself to taking them out every weekend that went by that I had a chance to. And ACS, the people who was, you know, had my kids, they let me do everything with them. Activities, that trips they go on, because they was in the mother child program, and they usually go on trips. They let me go on the trips. They let me have dinner with my kids. They let me take my kids out, pick them up from school, and everything. So I think that engagement part I learned through other people who was watching my kids, who was, you know, there for my kids. So that's how I learned to engage, through adults, through other people.
Young fathers, co-parenting, do they lack the desire to co-parent, or are they just ill-equipped to co-parent? To any members of the panel.
It's both. Sometimes they do lack they're not equipped. Especially young fathers, they're not equipped. It's got a lot to do with their socialization, their image of what a man is, to be a man and be a responsible father or a man. The models that they have, a lack of models that they have had or have, and that's where the work is. That's a major component of the work.
I had a lot of problems with co-parenting. Co-parenting was not easy, especially when you're smarter than well, not smarter, but you know more things about your children than the other person. So you feel a need to, like, you know, I'm sorry, I like to be blunt, and I like to be straightforward. I don't want to sugarcoat it, because this is reality. This is real. Like, these are some of the things that men face, and even mothers too. Like, actually the majority of mothers is more equipped with knowing, you know, how to handle a child. So for me, co-parenting with my kid's mom was very difficult, because there's some things that she wouldn't understand that I needed to do for myself in order for me to better, you know, handle my kids. It was just a big understanding. Like, for instance, if I got to go to work and she got to go to work, there's nobody to watch the baby, so somebody has to stay home. I'm not the type of person to stay home. I've been working my whole life, and I didn't plan on, you know, and that's the biggest thing we had going there too, and as well as school, or like basically helping around the house, you know, taking the kids outside. And especially co-parenting is difficult when you have, and when you're in a relationship with someone who already has a child, you know, and you're not you're not the child's father. That's proven to be difficult for me as well. But one of the things that Claremont has emphasized and, like, really made very clear was that when she had the baby, it was no longer about us two, whether we was going to be in a relationship or not. Co-parenting is the basic key to hold your child together, not y'all two together. You know, it's for your child to understand that mommy and daddy, no matter what, is going to be there for you any way possible. We're going to come to any agreement we need to, and, you know, we're not in a relationship, and we have the best co-parenting relationship in the world. I do everything with my daughters. Me and my daughter's mom, we discuss everything. They're actually on their way here now, and it's like it's beautiful. Once you start co-parenting your kids, it's the best. Because if you're not co-parenting, what I experienced when I first started co-parenting, and it wasn't working out, was that my daughters would manipulate me to, you know, go against their mom, because, you know, they end up getting it the good. It's, you know, we arguing, but the girls get whatever they want, basically. So once my daughter's mom, foster parents, point that out, that that my daughters, you know, they feed off of us going through it, and it affected my daughter in school as well, because they kept calling me like, "Oh, your daughter's acting out. She's doing things she's never done." And my daughter, she was the smartest kid in the school, actually. So I was shocked, because she was so smart, and I'm like, what's going on? How is it? And my daughter's mom, foster parent, let me know the only reason why she's acting out and that this is going on is because you two keep going at it. You know, y'all not coming to agreement. Y'all not, you know, seeing eye to eye. So I had to be a bigger person, and she had to be a bigger person, and understand that it was never about us no more, that it was about the kids and where they need to be, and how we transit whatever we learned to them about not doing the things that we did when we was young. So co-parenting, it was difficult, but once you learn that it's not about you, that it's about that child, you'll be fine.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaleesa Roberts, and as Benita stated, I used to work with the Brooklyn Young Mothers Collective as a, just to help other young women understand that they have power, even though they are teen parents, they can still accomplish their goals, which I'm trying to still do. Currently, I work with the Office of Child Support Enforcement under our Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program. The program is called No Kidding, Straight Talk from Teen Parents, and in this program, what we do is we have peer educators, both young mothers and young fathers, go out to community-based organizations, high schools, juvenile facilities, and speak about the realities of being a teen parent. We're not approaching it as, if you become a teen parent, your life is over, because that's not the case for me. We are approaching on the basis as, let's think about this, 16 pregnant, limited education, no job experience. How would you really provide for a child? And we are hiring peer educators at the time, and I do have flyer for those positions. But I think that the program in our program, we don't only talk about the young mothers, which you usually hear about when you think about teen pregnancy, like, okay, young ladies, get them together, they got to hear this information. I tell them all the time, like, we're not asexual. We can't reproduce by ourselves. It takes two. And in our program, we highlight the importance of both parents. Not one is more important than the other. Both mother and father are equally important in a child's life. And I came into the program as a peer educator, but currently I'm an outreach coordinator. And for you young fathers who are in this room today, I would like you just to please acknowledge your role in your child's life, because you are very important. In my situation, I had my son at 16. I attended an all-girls Catholic school, and it was difficult for me. My child father was from another country, so his legal status wasn't legal. Eventually, he got in trouble being young and thinking that, I could still do the things I want to do and still hang with the certain people that would probably tarnish my relationship with my child. He ended up getting deported.
When I came to Claremont Neighborhood Center 2 years ago, my life was at a crossroads. I had 2 children, and I had just lost my job. So, hold on, work with me. All right. So yeah, I had 2 children. I had just lost my job. I was working at IHOP on 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd, and it's funny. I was doing pretty good for myself, and I was able to support my kids. But then I lost my job. I had a little anger issue, and I let that, get the best of me. During that time, I actually had applied for some youth employment also, so I did that. So I got called for some youth, thank God. So I'm sitting there. So now we're doing orientation, and I'm sitting in a room full of people like this. Like it's 150 of my own peers, and we had to do a handout or a worksheet about your strengths and weaknesses. So I'm sitting to myself like, I'm not gonna write none of this. Can everybody hear me? So I'm sitting to myself saying, I'm not gonna write none of this. Like, what's the chance that I'm calling me in a room for 150 of my peers? Me being smart, the lady doing the orientation, Ms. Jackson, she knew me. So she was like, James, come up here and tell me what you wrote in your paper. So I'm gonna be honest, like, listen, I said, Ms. Jackson, I didn't write nothing. Look, empty packet. So listen, I got an anger problem, my life's at a crossroads, and I said a few other things, but I like working with kids. So Mr. Jones, Abraham Jones, he's in the back of the gym. He's like, I'm gonna get that man a job. So me, I'm surprised, like, you gonna get me a job? I got an anger problem, That's all the things. Like, I just got fired from a job. You gonna get me a job? So he sits there and asks me, so do you have kids? I'm like, yeah, I have two daughters. So he says to me, you should come in to Claremont and meet with Mr. Charles Green. Listen, if I can say one thing, this is from the heart. Mr. Charles Green, this man has been everything I never had. Like, I didn't have a father growing up. When I tell you, like, he sat there on this panel and everything he was saying was the truth, like, it's not a job to him. Like, this is his life, man. I done been in situations, I didn't call Mr. Green for anything. That man will answer his phone. I'm telling you, 2, 3 in the morning. Like, it's like, oh, man, I still know when it started. Like, Claremont really changed my life, man. Like, honestly speaking, these two men right here, if I can say, like, I'm not gonna try to big Claremont up or say come to Claremont. Even Larry, like, last year with the retreat, when I tell you, like, being around positive older black men, like I didn't have a father figure, so that really inspired me. The first thing Mr. Green, Mr. Jones told me before anything was about accountability. Because at the end of the day, I got 2 daughters. How do you want your kids to look at you? As a dude that tried, or when your daughter comes through the door, she's gonna say, "That's my father," or she's gonna frown and say, "That's my father." So I want to be the best I can be. Like I said, I just want to be the best father, period. So I try every day. Listen, like I said, I didn't finish high school. I had 38 credits in 5 regions. I should have finished, but I can't live in the past. I can't hold grudges. So, like I've been in foster care since I was since 4. I aged out of care at 21. I mean, I currently live by myself.
Lived in every borough?
Yeah. What? I lived in every borough, including Westchester, as far as being in the system. So you ask me where I'm from New York. I'm a New Yorker, that's it. Let me see. I was having a discussion with, because I hate living paycheck to paycheck, that's not where I want to be at in life. And I feel like I want to be the best for my kids. So me living paycheck to paycheck, I can't do it. I gotta budget this and pay child support. Speaking of child support, I was $2,000 in the hole when I came to Claremont. Do you know I don't owe any child support to this day? All the myths about child support and this and that and third, listen, I believed every single one of them. And it was no talking to none of the mothers of my kids. It was like night and day. I said I did parenting, I did personal intervention, I did everything. But going back to what William was saying earlier, sometimes you could have everything, but it doesn't work. But when I went to a parenting group, and one of the older gentlemen told me, he said, "Listen, come here, young man, let me speak to you." He said, "Listen, I don't care what you got to do." He said, "Compromise is the best thing you can do." He said, "Listen, he said the mother of the child drink Pepsi. Listen, you're gonna bring her you're gonna bring her 6 liters of Pepsi. Listen, you're gonna do whatever you got to do to get in and see them kids." Cause my situation was I was going all the way from the Bronx to go to Queens. They get turned back around, so it was kind of discouraging to me. But I gotta understand, like my daughters didn't have to be here, so I gotta be the best I can be at the end of the day. So, like I said, work for me, keep me in prayer. I'm keep getting it done,